Yo, in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how you can find the perfect and best sensitivity. Finding the best sensitivity on keyboard and mouse especially is very hard. The methods I'm going to be going over in this video will be useful for all inputs, like keyboard and mouse and controller. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys a few methods to find your perfect sensitivity. These methods should be very easy for you guys, so hopefully this does help you find your perfect sense. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into the video. One mistake a lot of people make when trying to find the sense or even other settings is copying their favorite pro settings. Fortnite is one of, if not the most unoptimal game when it comes to choosing settings. Everyone has different preferences, which can be using a low, medium, or high sense. Just because a pro has a very low sense doesn't mean that you can't become as good as them on a medium or a high sense. So how can you find this perfect sense? Before I tell you guys how you can find the perfect sense for you, you need to ask yourself what sense you prefer playing on, which can be a low, medium, or high sense. Once you find out what you're willing to try, then the process of finding the perfect sense is going to be 10 times easier. So now we're going to be jumping straight into method number 1. So the first method for this video is going to be experimenting with different senses. You guys probably knew that this would be in the video, but it's simply the truth. Experimenting with different senses is the most simple way to find a good sense, which is why this is the starting method. You aren't going to find your sense just by choosing random senses, whether it's low or high. But if you can't find a sense in general, then this should be the starting point. You need to keep adjusting your sensitivity to your preference until you find something that's good for you, which leads into method number 2. And method number 2 is the PSA method. I did go over the PSA method a very long time ago, and I did recently just make a shorts video covering it. So I am gonna replay the clip from the shorts video, then go over it after. So we're not going to be going into Fortnite, we're going to be going on this website called the PSA calculator. So all you need to do is type in your sensitivity. And once you type in your sensitivity, depending on if you want a lower or higher sensitivity, the website will generate it for you. And if you feel as if your sense is too low or too high, you can just keep generating new senses. Then once you find the perfect sense, you can just add it on and test it out in Fortnite. So if you do want to try this method, then the link to it will be in the description. The reason why this method is so popular is because the PSA method just makes finding your sense so much easier. In this video, I've already discussed what sense you want to use and told you about experimenting with other senses, depending on the sense you want to use. And now using the PSA method will 100% make finding the perfect sense very easy. So for the next method, you need to make sure you can do a full 360 from one side of your mouse pad to the other. The reason why you need to make sure you can do a full 360 is because depending on the space you have on your mouse pad, you'll be limited on finding your sense, and that could affect your mouse control. I'm not saying buy an expensive mouse pad just to do a simple 360, but there is alternatives for that, like raising your sense a bit higher. If you have less mouse pad space, then that would be the best option. When it comes to sensitivity, it's all about what works for you. So if you can do a full 360 from one side of your mouse pad to the other, then you're on the right page of finding your perfect sense. But if you can't, you just need to keep raising your sense until you can do one. So now what DPI do I use? You guys might see a lot of people using 400, 800, or even 1600 DPI, which are the most popular DPIs to use. But what even is a DPI? DPI is dots per inch, but in simpler terms, your mouse's sensitivity. When you change your DPI, you'll notice the difference in speed from your mouse. Regardless of having a wired or wireless mouse, your DPI won't be affected. However, every mouse has different DPIs. If you have a SteelSeries, Logitech, or any other branded mouse, then you can download the brand's app, which is completely safe, to your PC to adjust your DPI. So now what DPI should I use? Well, to answer this, if you're looking to play on a low to medium sense, then 400 or 800 DPI is what you want to use. If you're looking to play on a high sense, then 1200 or 1600 DPI is what you want to use. Most pro players use 400 and 800 DPI. This does not mean you can't become a pro if you don't use 400 or 800 DPI. There are players on high senses who have similar or if not better success to players using a low sense, so this should not stop you. Regardless if it's a low or high sense, if you're comfortable using a sense, then you should keep using it. I use 800 DPI because it feels like a good range to low and medium, and it's also what's comfortable for me. So now for controller, I won't go into detail for controller senses, but most pro controller players use a look sensitivity between 35 and 45. which is around the medium sense. Then set a starting point at 2.0, then start free building so you can attempt to get comfortable with it. If you want to build faster and turn faster, then you can raise your sense, but if it's too fast for you, then you should lower your sense. If you keep doing this, you'll find a decent sense to use. This might be hard to find, but you do need to find a decent sense to use. And once you find the sense you want to use, you want to keep using it. If you keep switching your senses, you won't find progress. It's basically like starting over from something new, because you're gonna have to keep adjusting the way you play. And this applies to all inputs. So I hope these methods did help finding your perfect sense less difficult to find. If this did help and you do want to support me, the best way is to use my code Witeout in the item shop. Also, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new, because I make videos like this all the time. So with all that said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Run away from the past and the nonsense. Tired of toxic games, not an option. Made it up from the mud.